Big Ant Studios' last 4 games have really been good. In fact, other than Don Bradman Cricket 17, they've never even made an average game. There are many issues with these 4 games, that's for sure, but there are also tons of amazing things. Let's put them up against each other and find out which is the best. The main issue with these 4 games, especially Cricket 24 and 22, is that they can feel very same. You can put them side by side and it'll take you a minute to figure out which game is which. Ashes Cricket 2017 and Cricket 19 don't have that problem at all. Ashes 17 is a very slow, super realistic simulation. I mean, an over in this game almost takes as long as a Shoaib Akhtar over. The game tries to present itself like a TV broadcast and it successfully does so. Sometimes when games try to be very realistic and simulation based, it can end up very slow and boring, but not Ashes 17. Not only does it look and play like a real match, but it's also as much fun as a real match as well, especially Test cricket. Test cricket is fun because batsmen and bowlers are equals. It's a very balanced contest. Here, it doesn't matter if you're bowling or batting, you are going to be challenged. But if you're skillful and play well enough, you will be rewarded in satisfying ways. Before this, many games had amazing batting mechanics, but bowling was always lacking. EA Cricket 2004, Ashes 2009, and even Don Bradman Cricket 14 had pretty boring bowling mechanics, where you bat and then you simulate the bowling innings. Ashes 17 is the first game where bowling was as much or at least almost as much fun as batting. It was fun because the game captured a lot of amazing things about bowling. Seeing the batsmen struggle, play and misses, satisfying wickets, and not wickets in the same way over and over again. It was not easy, it was not predictable at all. If you bowled badly, you got smacked. There were no tricks to get wickets every ball. AI batsmen played like real life players instead of playing dumb shots all the time and still getting away with it. But they're still not invincible either. It's an even contest through and through. This is still the only game where I can bowl for 90 overs straight and not get bored or tune out. It's so perfectly balanced. Bowling is great, yeah. What about batting? Well, it is just as good. Like a typical Big Ant game, it is very challenging. Scoring runs is hard even on base difficulties, but if you decide to use sliders, you can very well get all out under 50 every time. But the game has every shot and most shots have the right risk and reward. Ground shots are powerful when you time them well, so you don't have to play lofted shots only to score boundaries, which was sometimes the case in previous games. They've given placement a lot of importance. No matter how small the gap, you can still get the ball through. Games before this didn't have this option. A cover drive went to the same direction every single time to that same fielder over and over again. That changed a little with Don Bradman 14, but in Ashes 17, depending on your timing, if you play early, the ball will go straighter. If you play late, the ball will go finer. So you can just use timing to manipulate the field. This is why Ashes 17 is awesome. It captures little things like this. Even the sweet sound of ball hitting bat is as satisfying as it is in real life. The game not only plays like real life, it also looks very lifelike. For a game released in 2017, which was 7 years ago, I know, right? The game looks beautiful. The lighting engine is unbelievably realistic. It looks like a real life match captured by a high quality camera. Not very saturated, not too much vibrance or contrast, just real. If you played Forza games, it looks like that. Well, not as good, but still very impressive. Cricket 19 is the odd one out among Big Ant games. It looks different, it plays different, it's a lot easier. It actually plays like a cricket game from the 2000s. Playing Test cricket in Ashes 17 is at its peak. Playing T20 in Cricket 19 is at its peak. The game has every shot in the book and lofted shots are particularly satisfying to play. Playing an entire IPL tournament in this game has got to be the most fun you can have in any cricket game. And in my opinion, the game has close to zero bugs, which is not even the case for Cricket 24 even. Unorthodox shots can be pulled off if you play well and time them well enough. Yeah, they are harder to time, but they are still not impossible to execute, which has been the case at least with 24. There, the scoop and even sweeps are near useless on harder difficulties. That's not the case here at all. Every shot is playable and it is fun. Every innings here has a great variety of shots. In recent games, you play only 5 shots the majority of the time because there are only 5 shots that work on the hardest difficulty. But an innings in Cricket 19 looks like an ABD innings. You play to every corner of the ground, every shot against spin and pace. Bowling on the other hand is definitely Cricket 19's weakness. It's just boring when you bowl more than a few overs. Forget about bowling in a test match if you want to stay awake. Even in this aspect, it's like those cricket games from the 2000s. In that bowling is just straight up boring while batting is fun through and through. Which is very disappointing since just 1.5 years before this, they released Ashes 17, the game with the best bowling system ever. On the graphics side, Cricket 19 looks like an acrylic painting. Very vibrant, colorful. It has an arcadey style as well, which is fantastic if it's your taste. But it looks like a game. It doesn't try to look lifelike. It tries to look like a cool game, and it does look like a very cool game indeed. Cricket 22 is Big Ant Studios' finished product, or at least that's what they intended, because Cricket 22 has elements from all their games before. It has a slightly more interactive career mode. It's still pretty much the same after the first 4 hours. It has a really fun, challenging batting system. It also has a similar bowling system to Ashes cricket, but this is where bugs came into Big Ant's games big time. Batting, bowling, and especially fielding can be very frustrating, all because of those little bugs. But if you can look past that, Cricket 22 might be the game that is for everyone. But we're yet to look at Cricket 24, so there is that. There are some things that 22 actually does better than 24. For example, unorthodox shots are actually useful. You can consistently use sweeps, reverse sweep scoops, and if you're skilled enough, you won't get out just because the batsman glitches somewhere else. Even basic things like placing cover drives into the gap is doable here, unlike Cricket 24 with some shots. Also, now looking back at 22 after almost a year, it does not look great. Graphics wise, I think it looks worse than 19 and Ashes 17 for some reason. This might just be me, but Cricket 24 looks the best, Ashes 17 looks good, even Cricket 19 has a different visual style and looks great in its own way. But 22 just looks plain outdated. So in my opinion, even though Cricket 22 is only about 2 years old, it definitely looks the worst among these 4. Cricket 24 is Big Ant Studios' latest cricket title, and once again the game feels pretty much the same. In fact, 24 and 22 are more similar than any 2 cricket games. Even Cricket 2005 and 2007 felt more different. Once again, the career mode is basically the same. Gameplay is almost identical. The only thing different is 24 might have more bugs. I am joking, but that is kind of true. Bowling is one area where Cricket 24 definitely is better. You can get wickets in every way, satisfying clean bowls, caught behinds, realistic looking LBWs. You can bowl to different plans and they do work sometimes. But other times the AI batsman will do something completely out of the world, like pull a full delivery and it will still work. It can be frustrating. AI is somehow dumber than Cricket 22. Bowlers will keep bowling full tosses for no good reason in the last few overs. Fielders are beyond useless. I mean, they will regularly go outside the boundary line before even catching the ball or before even the ball comes to them, even though they could have easily taken it from inside the line. They'll run to the opposite direction of the ball, and that is if you're lucky enough to get the fielder moved. Sometimes they'll just stand and stare. So Cricket 24 is very frustrating. And what makes it even more frustrating is the fact that AI was smart at Big Ant's games a whole 10 years ago. Yet here we are. But having said all that, Cricket 24 is still a better version of Cricket 22. It has better bowling, slightly better batting mechanics, and of course more glitches. Visually, Cricket 24 is the best cricket game. The only real competition are Ashes Cricket 2009 and DBC 14. Ashes 2009 has out of the world lighting, Don Bradman 14 has an iconic look as well, but I still think overall Cricket 24 is better. It has a really good lighting system, player models for the most part look great, created players still look like they are about 2 chromosomes away from being a human, but licensed players look great. Licensed stadiums are lifelike. Yeah, the game can look like it's having a stroke sometimes when it's glitching, but for the most part, the game is just plain stunning. Cricket 24 would be the winner if they fixed every annoying bug, but in its current state, I think it's just not good enough to be the winner. I am going with Ashes Cricket 2017 because it has unbelievably fun bowling mechanics and realistic batting mechanics as well, and it doesn't have a million bugs, which is a giant bonus. Cricket 22 feels like an inferior version of 24, so even though it was tough, I think Ashes 17 is the clear winner for me. Which game is the best according to you? Let me know in the comment section. Click the video on screen to see Ashes Cricket 2017 at its absolute best. For now, like and subscribe for more cricket gaming videos and updates. Thanks for watching and have a great day wherever you are.